Well, thanks again for joining me. So today I figured I would do a full sharpening. Got a couple new stones from Dan's. I ended up getting a Washita, which is the most coarse of all of their stones, and then also a black, which is the most fine of all their stones. So the progression will go a Washita, a Spyderco medium, looks like this, and one of my favorite stones, Spyderco ultra fine. But when you want to take it a step further than that, you go to a black Arkansas. So let's begin. This is the knife I'll be sharpening. Sorry, I'm trying to get that reflection out of the camera. So this is just a random chef's knife that I'm gonna sharpen. It feels really dull, which is a bit worrisome because this is a natural stone. This is a piece of novaculite, so novaculite isn't really, they don't really have grit ratings because the way they find out how coarse or fine these are is they measure the density. But the approximate grit rating on a Washita can be 400 to 600 grit. I asked them for their coarsest, so I'm hoping this is close to a 400 because to apex this or to, create this initial burr could take a very long time, depending on how dull this really is. So the first way I want to check is with the paper cut test. Just checking the camera to see if you can see this. Yeah, this is pretty bad. Yeah, so this is extremely dull. I wonder how dull we're talking. I wonder if it'll cut me. Ooh, I don't know. It might cut me, but barely. We're not going to test that out. So when I use Arkansas stones, I like to use water and dish soap. So I'll wet it pretty good and then we'll get started and see how this, how well this stone cuts. This is my first time. This will be my first time using this stone. Excited to see how it's going to do. So, what we're going to try and do with this stone is produce a burr. And my initial thoughts of this are pretty good actually. This stone feels like it's pretty coarse. Sounds pretty coarse too. Yeah, and look at the steel already coming off. Let's do a quick wipe. Not too much steel on the stone yet, but there's quite a bit on the edge of the knife. So that's a good thing. Just gonna need a lot of water. Okay. Alright, we'll check this. Wow. Now that is very impressive. This stone must be extremely coarse. This is awesome. I'm actually really impressed right now. Sorry, I'm kind of in awe. That is pretty awesome. So, I mean, you can just the sound of this stone is just unbelievably coarse. I already have a burr started after 2 passes, so that makes me feel a lot better because I have a Washita from Dan's and it cuts decent. It's not bad, but this stone is extremely coarse. To be able to produce a burr, yeah, this is already getting a very sharp burr. Yeah, I have a burr all the way across this knife already. 3 passes, I think, is what I just did. So yes, I'm very impressed. That is really awesome. You know, sometimes it takes, even with diamond stones, quite a few passes to produce a burr, but yeah, this is gonna probably become one of my favorite stones here. Yeah, for a natural stone to be able to cut steel that quickly, it's very impressive. So one thing when sharpening is the tip and the heel are generally the hardest parts to sharpen. I find the heel to be difficult, and I'll show you why. Because this right here, the bolster gets in the way, and it's really hard to hit that absolute heel right there. But as long as you're careful and you put pressure with a finger on there, you can hit that spot. So I'm going to find my angle here. Do a couple more passes here. Yeah, I see material coming off all over the stone. Okay. Yeah, the burr is already pretty sharp on this side where I'm almost done with the stone. That's pretty amazing. So yeah, this stone is a very incredible natural stone. It's definitely got to be close to a 400 grit because it's definitely cutting like my DMT 325. Definitely an extremely coarse natural stone. So yes, I would highly recommend this. It's called a Washita stone, and I don't know anybody else that sells them besides Dan's. Dan's is the only place I've ever seen a Washita even. I don't know if they technically maybe advertise them on their where you can buy on their website, but they do show them when you look up grades of novaculite, and they're listed as the coarsest. I think it just basically says on the website limited availability. So definitely worth the little bit of money that it costs. I mean, this was fairly inexpensive stone. And for the results I'm seeing, definitely worth it. There are many things appealing about a natural stone, and one that can create a very quick burr. Because this is the most, I don't want to say the most important, but the most time-consuming part of knife sharpening is creating the initial burr. And depending on how dull the knife is, you definitely want to start with a coarser stone. Otherwise, it's just going to take you so long. And you just, you don't want that. That's why diamonds are so great for sharpening, because they cut so well. I mean, they're so much harder than steel. We're pretty much there. I'm just gonna hit the heel a little bit more, and the heel and the tip, and I think we'll be pretty good. And the trick to hitting the tip of the knife, which you definitely gonna want to do, because it's like the tip and the heel are the hardest parts. The trick with the tip is to actually raise the knife up. So if I have it on the stone and I'm just running it like this, I need to raise it. Obviously not that much, it's quite exaggerated. The more I raise it, it's going to actually hit that edge correctly. So, alright, yeah, we have a nice burr. Alright, now we'll move on to the next stone. First impressions with the Washita. Extremely impressed. I am actually, I don't want to say shocked, but shocked is probably a reasonable way to put it, because I've had a Washita. Actually, I shouldn't say I've had. I have a Washita, and it's just, performance-wise, it's not like that. It's not that coarse. It's probably more like a 600 grit, which is fine. I mean, for natural stone, 600 grit is fine. I mean, when that burr is already flopped a little bit, it's just getting sharp. So there is an issue. There's like a different angle for this last inch of this knife. Actually, right here, it's actually about almost 2 inches. So yeah, the heel is definitely not going to sharpen like the rest of the knife, but it's okay. We can make do. I'll just deal with it. Alright, let's see what we have going here. So yeah, we're not flopping that burr too quick. So what I'm going to do, this is the push and pull technique. This is a much faster technique. It's because you're kind of pulling the knife edge several times rather than one stroke at a time. So this should speed up the process. And this stone, like I said in the beginning, this is Spyderco medium. It's really like a fine stone. Quite a fine stone. All of their stones are quite fine, their bench stones. They have a medium, which is this, a technical fine, which is quite fine, and then an ultra fine, which is extremely fine. But this one, for being considered a medium stone, is quite fine. But it's a great stone. You can get a hair whittling edge off of it, which is awesome. I mean, it's one thing to shave, you know, with the knife after you're done sharpening, but to whittle hair is it's another level. To be able to do that from just a stone, maybe a stone before it, very impressive. But Spyderco always has amazing quality, and this burr is very sharp feeling. There we go. Perfect. Alright, so wipe off the stone a little bit. You can use water or oil on these stones, and some people do. Look at all that material coming off. I don't, but I just like using them dry. It doesn't mean you have to. Not one bit. So we're pretty close to being done. So after this, we'll go to Spyderco Ultra Fine, which is like a finishing stone, and you don't have to take a lot of time on that. Finishing stones are just refining the edge, kind of like this one, you know. You start off with a coarse stone to reprofile the whole edge, so you basically take all the steel off of the whole edge of the knife, and you know, you expose fresh steel, and then with these finer stones, you're just refining that more and more and more. Really, I could have stopped at the Washita, just as long as I would have removed the burr that I created, and it would have been a very sharp knife. Yeah, you don't need to go through all these stones to get a very sharp knife, but it's what knife sharpeners like to do. We just like to push it to the limits. If you have all these other stones, why not use them? But really, in a professional sense, you know, there are different edges. There are coarse edges and there are fine edges. And depending on your cutting task, especially in a kitchen, you know, it'd be wise to put the finish that you need on the knife, rather than just taking it to such a crazy fine edge. Definitely gonna hit the tip a little bit more and we'll be done. All right. There we go. It feels good. Just been a pretty big burr. Okay, and what this is doing is just producing a ridiculously fine burr. Like I said, it doesn't take too long on this one. You don't need to use a lot of pressure with finishing stones. Really, you lighten up the pressure quite a bit. Almost just use the weight of the knife. Okay. Sure you can hear how fine that is. It's just a nice, smooth sound. Just feels like butter on the stone. What we're doing is refining this to an extremely keen edge. That feels pretty good. Alright, we will go to the black Arkansas and we'll be done. We'll see what kind of edge we got. There she is, the beauty herself. You might think, oh look, it's the gray Arkansas, until I do this. And then she's jet black. Alright. I want to be as excited about this stone as I was for the Washita. If you can hear that crunching sound. Now you gotta be careful with that because this is such a fine stone that, wow, yeah, oh my gosh, that's scary, wow. Yeah, that's freakish. The pieces of knife can break off. The pieces of the burr can break off on the stone, and you do not want to run your nice sharp edge over a piece of steel that's broken off. Like your burr can break off on the stones, and then yeah, you're in a world of trouble if you run that over with the knife edge. So if you hear it or see it break off onto the stone, you definitely gotta wipe the stone off, clean it off so that you don't run that knife edge over it. What amazes me is the ultrafine produces such a fine edge, and then a black Arkansas will just take it to the next level, which is obnoxious. Yeah, I have pretty solid burr. I'll do a couple more strokes maybe. So yeah, if you've never sharpened on any Arkansas stone, this is the one. This is the one you need to try. You will not be displeased. Just make sure if you go to a black, you have to have a fine edge first. You know, you don't want to go from like a 200 or 300 grit or a 400 grit to one. And I suppose you could. It's just not going to be as keen as it will be. I'm going to actually wipe this off because I already see the steel on this stone. It won't be as keen as it could be, because this is meant to be a very, very, I mean, it is a very, very fine stone, so you want to go to it from a very fine edge. And I find the Spyderco Ultra Fine to be a great preceding stone to this one. And you do not need much pressure on the stone, just using the weight of the knife. The stone will do all the cutting. And it's just a beautiful stone, just jet black. I mean, what is not appealing about that? The one thing you will notice with an Arkansas stone, they are so hard. And because of their hardness, you'll find out if your technique is good or not on the stone. So you can feel every mistake with these. After this point, I'm just going to alternate strokes, and then that will deburr the knife. And we should be pretty good. Well, we can see what kind of edge we have now. So, I don't know if you can even see the hair, but you can probably hear this. So it'll just cut, yeah, just chop the hair in half. We can test how the edge is. You saw how the edge was with the terrible, I'm gonna raise that camera up. And couldn't even cut the paper, so we'll see how it does now. So yeah, you can just hear how fine that edge is. Extremely fine. By the way, a knife will cut paper. See, when you wave the knife like that, when you can make waves in phone book paper, just have a really good edge. Probably have to cut some of the footage. Let's see if I can feather cut. Yeah, so little feather cut. It's called feather cutting. Yeah, this is a very, 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 very sharp knife. Yeah, so as you can just hear those popping right off. That is the results of those 4 stones. So I hope you enjoyed, and I appreciate you watching.